Okay, a quick confession. Every time I do a video, I have to start it about 5 or 6 times because I feel like such a wally that I just, yeah, it doesn't go to plan the first time. So I think this is the 6th attempt now. So in my last video, I'd had my 3rd round of chemo, finally, and I was waiting for my PetCT to go in for that, and then I was going to speak to my consultant about the results, which has been done, and the results are now in. Basically, he said that the chemo had reduced the cancer, but not by enough for him to warrant continuing with the treatment. He said the risk factors that came with it, the fact that my body wasn't producing enough neutrophils, the fact that I might end up really sick in hospital again. He said basically it wasn't worth continuing with it. So obviously that wasn't the news we were hoping for. I did feel a bit guilty at the time when he told me, because I actually was quite pleased I didn't have to go back in and have chemo. And I know that's probably a very natural feeling. No one really wants to go and have chemo. But I was really worried about going back in, having another round of chemo, not for the chemo, but ending up back in hospital, the possibilities of just all the different things that could have happened. And this was one of the reasons he said that he was really concerned, because each time I'd been sick, my body couldn't recover properly. I was having neutrophil injections, which isn't an uncommon thing. A lot of people have them, but my body, because I'd had the radiotherapy on my pelvis before, the pelvis is where you make a lot of your neutrophils. I think he said the sternum or somewhere, and also your pelvis. So when you've had radiotherapy to the pelvis, your body will make neutrophils not as efficiently anyway. So obviously with that and the chemo, it wasn't all going very well. So he didn't at the time have the images in front of him. He said this was all based on percentages that the radiographers had told him. So but he was very confident that that was the best thing to do to stop the chemo, because it wasn't doing what he wanted it to do. He was really hoping it was going to have a much more of an effect, and it would be, I can't remember exactly how he phrased it. It would basically just not be fair of him to continue putting me through that if the result was not going to be what he needed it to be. So that day I was actually going into the clinic for pre-chemo. So I said to him, well, what should I do from here? He said, well, don't have your pre-chemo. There's no point. You know, we're not going to continue with chemo. So Penelope actually came out that day. I no longer have Penelope, and I've been swimming since with my kids, which was amazing. It was really good to go out with them and actually be able to go and go swimming. I think that was about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. I'm losing track of time at the moment. I've been a bit ill. I've had a bit of a cold. I've not been feeling 100% as well, sort of mentally. And it's not necessarily because of what he said, because I always knew that might be part of what would happen. But then looking at the situation and wanting to be able to go do things, wanting to, you know, just a bit of everything really. The time of year, it's been miserable weather. I've been a bit poorly. I live away from a lot of my friends now, and I was getting a bit low. I was getting a bit down, and I've managed to pull myself back out of that. It was only about a week I was feeling pretty, you know, just really rubbish. And it's not like me. I normally wake up in the morning and I'm quite sprightly and I feel ready to go, and, you know, not much sort of gets to me, but it really did. I started to feel a bit, you know, what's the point? So, but yeah, I'm feeling better now, which is good. Back on form. So now from here, I'm going back in to see him on Monday, this coming Monday. It's now Thursday. I'm going to see him because he hadn't seen the images. He wants to see if there was a possibility of doing radiotherapy. He said, don't get my hopes up, because especially with where the cancer is, I've got it in my lung and in my windpipe. There's possibilities that it might not be worth doing that because it could cause too much scarring or too many other issues. But there is the possibility of doing some radiotherapy. If there is no radiotherapy that can be done, I don't think there's any more treatment that can be done at all. So then it would be full-on palliative care, scans, I'm assuming, and that kind of thing. But that'll be discussed on Monday, and he'll talk me through what happens from there, and then we'll take it from there. So I'm looking forward to going and seeing him. He's a really nice guy, actually. It's always a pleasure speaking to him. He's always quite upbeat. And I've had a couple of consultants in the past, and he is my favourite so far. He always gets me involved. He's the only one that's ever shown me the images. He's the only one that's ever sort of discussed how I feel and what I think. And I feel much more involved in my care rather than sort of, well, this is what you have to do and this is your option. And he's a really sound guy. So I'm looking forward to going and seeing him. We can discuss what we're going to do, where we're going to take it from there. And then obviously I'll do another update video. I hadn't done one for a while. I don't know, it's weird actually, because time seems to slip by. It feels like Christmas was like 2 years ago, and you know, time's just going a bit funny, and it always does this time of year. I'm just yearning for summer. I can't wait for summertime, you know, fresh fruits and veggies and, you know, sunshine, and, you know, everything will be a lot nicer then. So, yeah, I hope everyone's doing all right and you're having a good time, and, you know, life's not getting everyone down too much. I know there's been a lot going on, obviously, with the earthquakes and that in the world. There's been a lot of suffering, and there's been, you know, a lot of things, that even in the UK, a lot in our own country, a lot of things going on, and, you know, there's been a lot of suffering over the past few years, and everyone's been struggling. So just everyone remember to be kind and look after each other, and I'll speak to you all soon.